Good evening, good morning, and good night. Welcome to Inappropriate Radio. It's your host, Tashana, the hostess with the mostest, the snaggatooth one. Let's get into this. So, hi guys. Not sure if you have been listening. If you're just tuning in for the first time, we are kind of in the beginning of a series about the rules and laws of the land, the water, and the spirit world. We did start breaking down some of the different topics. So right now we are going to be discussing spiritual gifts as it pertains to those realms, okay? You have to go back a few segments to go to the initial, I want to say maybe last Friday, to get to the initial conversation or the introduction, if you will. You have to go back a little, okay? I don't want to keep repeating the same thing over and over. But I was not in meditation, but I was just in my element today, and I got the download to pretty much go into this with not the perception, because this is my perception, but from my perspective, but to have it make sense in a way where people who are not well versed or spiritually inclined, right? There is jargon, or I guess you could say words or verbiage that people in the spiritual community use, people in the religious community. And if you are not vibrating at a certain frequency, or if you are just not a part of these communities, sometimes you can get lost, okay? So I'm going to try to start framing these conversations in a way where they're like in layman's terms, okay? Now, let's get to this. When we get to the water, okay, and it comes to your spiritual gifts are not necessary. All you have to do is pray, because the water is a portal itself. We said that yesterday. And because we're talking about water, we'll get into it a little bit. The water connects everyone to everything, and everything to everything else, to the unknown, to the unseen. This is the actual abyss, okay? This is the realm and the dimension where pretty much everything stems from. Yeah, we would like to assume that we come from the dirt and we come from these different star systems, and we do, but all of these things come from water, okay? Now, I'm not going to get into the water receding and how it was higher and how it's going to rise again, and we're not getting into that, because that would be like an archaeology course, and I don't do that. That's not my area, okay? However, let's just say if you were a fisherman and you spent a lot of time in the water, okay? You have gone through portals that you have no idea that you've been in if you're not aware. Let's just say you're a different species, like a mermaid, or a crab, right? These are different energies that dwell in this realm. The reason you don't need it, not only, and when I say it, I mean your spiritual gifts, and this is while you're in the water, if you spend considerable amount of time using water. And I mean, even if you're like one of those people that are always at the beach, if you live near the water, if you are one of those people who are highly attracted to water in all facets, of course, if you're a water sign, and this doesn't have to be your star sign, this can be anywhere in your chart, especially if there's an abundance of water in your chart. If you are in the environment of a bunch of water signs, right, this is all the same energy, okay? You don't need your spiritual gifts, because the water is a portal, and your gifts are naturally heightened when you come into contact. And when I say your gifts, I mean your overall essence and your vibration is cleansed and raised when you're in close proximity of water of any kind. Hence the reason why we have holy water, why we get baptized, why we are basically almost, 100% water, why the earth is over 50% water, okay? These are tools. The water is a tool itself. So you don't necessarily need to use your spiritual gifts. The only reason you would need to use your gifts when it comes to being in the water realm, and again, this is mainly for people who have relationships with the water, okay? However you want to frame it, okay? You have to realize that if you're an intergalactic being or someone who can be in multiple places at one time. So I'll give you an example. People who can be sitting right in front of you, but they can astral project, or they could be sitting there meditating and go into the dream state, or if they have the ability to shapeshift. Okay, these are people who have the ability to be here physically and somewhere else spiritually at the same time. Okay, those are the only people who need to use their gifts in the water. And yes, those gifts are also enhanced, but the only reason why that gift would be necessary is to help with breaking down the barrier of the portal. If the portal is closing, if it closed already, if you want to allow yourself to have better clarity when you're going in, if your vibration needs to be raised in order to function. So these are like the people who get seasick in the water, people who pass out, people who have hallucinations, people who can't swim, okay? These are all people or just have like a fear when it comes to the water, or bad experiences, people who don't consume enough water, like daily intake, people who have water issues within their bodies, okay? All of these things are going to vary. All of these things are going to have an influx in your vibration. So this is why your gifts are not necessary, because what can happen is it can trip the vibration. In other words, it can throw you off or throw you into a portal that you need to be getting out of, because you're already in a portal. Okay, you don't want to open up another portal inside of a portal if it's unnecessary. If it's necessary, it'll happen because you're in the portal and your vibration will do the rest. Okay, again, these intergalactic beings, and these can just be the water spirits. Okay, the water has these spirits. We know about them. If you don't, just go ahead and educate yourself as much as possible on the water spirits. That's a whole nother conversation, but we can include it here because this is what the water encompasses. There's so many different energies, entities, species in the water. You don't want to throw off the vibration of their environment either, okay? Because what happens is when you use your gifts, you're opening a portal, okay? So that goes back to opening a portal within a portal. You don't need to do that because the water is life itself. It is one of those God-given things that assist you with everyday life. No one or nothing is existing in this dimension without water, including being existing or coexisting with the water. So whether you're in the water, whether you live in the water, near the water, whatever your relationship is with water, okay? And I do mean, when I say water, I'm speaking of actual bodies of water, okay? The ocean, the seas, lakes. We can use these bodies of water to raise our vibration. So your gifts need to not die down, but they need to lie dormant. When you're working with water, you don't need your gifts to be activated simply because the water is the gift. I can't stress that enough. So when you see people going to the water to cleanse, you're recharging the energy that you have. You're tapping back in to whatever it is that you use as a gift, okay? The Creator allows the water to be something that balances out our gifts. And it's important for you to understand that your gifts are not to be used in tandem with the water. I can't stress it enough. The water is simple. Let it be. Whatever is going on with the water, whatever you need to use the water for, is going to affect your vibration after you're away from it. And I'm saying this in terms of the bodies of water. Now, if you're one of those people like me where you're constantly thirsty for whatever reason, you have a particular relationship with the water. Most people who are gifted naturally drink a lot of water. Either you drink a lot or you don't drink any at all. Those are like the two ends of the spectrum for the gifted people. And it's mostly the people who are on the lower end of the spectrum who don't have this relationship with water. So if you want to enhance your gifts, you can come into contact with water, build a relationship with water, understand how important it is. Okay, this is how you can enhance and upgrade, purify, and really just get a better idea of what your gifts are used for, just simply by sitting there. I actually thought that this was going to be one of those things where we could Google and look this up so you guys can do the research yourself. But this series is really for the spiritual community, the religious community, the conscious community, the people who have already reached a particular level within their journey and they're kind of seasoned because they can follow along with the conversation. If you're new to the journey of spirituality, it might make sense for you to try and figure out what your gifts are. If you already know what your gifts are, I would make a suggestion. I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but I am suggesting that you seek ways to figure out how to implement water into your life if you already haven't, as far as your spirituality goes. Okay, so if you want to receive more downloads, you drink more water. If you want to have more clarity, drink more water. If you want to practice using your gifts more, you drink more water. And this isn't just drinking water, this is also consuming fruits and vegetables that have a high water content. Okay, and before we go, it is essential for you to understand that, again, this is not a bunch of information that you can just Google and look online. I would suggest that you go on Google Scholar, go to the library, go to local bookstores, talk to your ancestors, speak with the elders that you have access to that may be able to confirm. Even if you want to change the question around a little bit, like it doesn't have to be, just what do you think about mermaids, or what do you think about, longshoremen or fishermen, however you want to word it. Just look into things that allow people to have a relationship with water, no matter what it is, okay? But yeah, you don't need to use your gifts in the water. It's unnecessary. Things balance themselves out, especially in the water, as they do in the spirit realm, because they are one and the same, okay? And the land is the balance between the two. But I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here. I do love y'all, and I hope y'all have been drinking your water, eating your fruit and vegetables, and sipping on your own tea because it's free. And I really do hope y'all are getting your rest. All right? But I'm gonna go ahead and go. Bye. Peace.